2455. For fire information, we are currently at 218,489 acres. It is 60% contained and remains the 15th largest fire in California history. 4,029 personnel are also assigned to this incident. The reason we're here is to provide information to you as a community, and we'd like for you to feel free to ask any questions that you may have through Facebook and through the social media sites. And as you ask your questions, we ask that you please identify whether it's for the East Zone or for the West Zone. For the operational briefing on the West Zone, we'll first hear from Chief Bill Monday. He's the Operations Section Chief, after which we'll hear from our Law Enforcement Liaison Officer, Sergeant Eric Palmberg, and then we'll conclude with our Unified Incident Commander, Chief Joe Reiners from NEMO Team 2. Chief Bill Monday.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, Bill Monday with National Incident Management Organization Team 2 and representing CAL FIRE Team 2. So we'll give you a quick rundown on what's been going on today and where we're headed into this afternoon and into tomorrow's operational period. So I'll start down here north of Kirkwood. I've been getting a lot of questions on this area right down in here. So what's going on is, if folks aren't familiar with this, there was a fire that came through here last year. So this area had previously been burnt, but we do have multiple crews working on both the north and the south side of this. And what's going on is between all of the rocks down there, there continues to be fire that's creeping through all those rocks down there. So we've got folks trying to bounce from rocks, securing those fire's edge, and it's just taking a lot of time getting through that big rock field out there. So it's a slow process, but we're gaining the upper hand on this. Coming around from Kirkwood down towards Silver Lake here, as you can see, we're starting to gain a little bit more containment in here. Still a lot of work. Today we had a little bit of increase in fire activity down here around Silver Lake. The amount of dead and down fuel, those logs that are on the ground, and just decadent material that's been there for a long time, it's very, very time consuming to 100% extinguish that stuff. So today, really warm, sunny day, got a little bit of wind on it. Things are kind of rekindling, so we have to continue to go in there and make sure all that stuff is 100% mopped up. Again, mopping up, it's fully extinguishing the fire. That's our slang term for that. So that's why this area down here isn't colored in yet. We're still actively trying to suppress all this fire down here across from Silver Lake and Highway 88. Coming around the bottom and then all the way back around to Highway 50, everything's looking really good there. We're getting all of our pumps and hoses and material off the fire line. Still doing those service calls up along the fire perimeter around the residential area down here, making sure that if any of those stump holes or burning trees are still in eyesight, that we're taking care of that stuff in a timely manner. So please be aware, we're going to continue to keep our resources staffed up there until we know that it's safe and there's not going to be any threat to any of the community down here. Coming along the Highway 50 corridor, we finally got the highway safe enough to open it up past Kybers this morning. So that was a great stroke. We're continuing to push. As I mentioned in the past few reports, we were pushing from west to east on this side, and then our friends on the east zone are doing the same thing. We're trying to get all those hazards taken care of, all those fire-weakened trees that potentially threaten the residents down in the tracks, the Highway 50 corridor. So we're getting more and more. And so, the next step, we've got Kybers, and we're going to continue to push east. Hopefully we can get Strawberry opened up here in the near future as well. And those guys are working towards us. Up here in Division India, up in the wilderness, things are going real well. We were able to get the majority of our hose taken out today, and this area is just in a patrol. This is way up high, up in the desolation wilderness, real rocky, scabbier fuels, but we're continuing to keep a presence up there. And like I mentioned, the stuff that was down here around Silver Lake, it looks really the same. We're finding fire kind of burning through some rocks that we're just having to play hopscotch trying to pick stuff up. So that's how things are looking on the West Zone, and I'll turn it over to our law enforcement representative. Thank you.
Good evening. Sergeant Eric Palmberg, PIO for the Dorado County Sheriff's Office. I want to talk a little bit today about just what we did today as far as repopulation goes. So today we were able to reduce from a warning order to excuse me, evacuation warning from Ice House Road all the way up past Kybers here. So this area is open to all residents. They can repopulate this area now, which is really nice. Just a reminder with that, the forest is still closed. So although this does include some forest lands, the forest is still closed. This is just open to basically the residents in these areas to populate. Also, as was mentioned previously, everybody's doing everything they can to prepare these roads. Highway 50 and Highway 88, there is still a lot of work going on these hazard trees, work from basically Kybers up to the Echo Summit as far as these hazard trees, these dangerous things they're trying to clear out of the way. But these areas are being assessed consistently on a daily basis or multiple times per day to try and get these areas open as soon as we can. Talking about Grizzly Flats a little bit, today we were able to start repopulating the Grizzly Flats area. This is for residents only. A good portion of the residents are getting back to that area today as well as tomorrow. So some messaging went out on social media regarding times to report and whatnot as far as tomorrow goes. Tomorrow's reporting is going to be at the Four Corners, Bucks Bar, Mount Ockham Road, and Grizzly Flats Road. That's where you're going to check in to repopulate and get your permits and go up to the Grizzly Flat area. Today, it is still at Pioneer Park, and that should be done now, but tomorrow it is going to be at Four Corners. And I'll let the rest for the east side. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Reiners. I'm one of the Unified Incident Commanders for Team 2. And we want to thank all the communities for their patience for us to get you back into your areas. And as you noticed on the map and from the last reports, we're gaining a lot on that. So we appreciate your support, and we also appreciate your patience in us getting these roads open. There's still a lot of hazards out there that we need to be addressing before we have people populating that. And we're working right along those roads. And as you know the area better than most of us, those roads are kind of narrow. So it's giving us the chance to do it and do it safely. So with that, you're also seeing a lot of black on our map here. What that means is we're getting closer to the point in time where we can get you back to more normalcy in your lifestyles and where you live, and getting you back where you live. So we're going to continue to do that work, and as we do that, we're going to get to a point where these teams on this side and the team 4 on the east side are going to be looking at being replaced by another team. So you're going to start hearing that over the next couple days. We're going to be transitioning out some of our folks. That does not mean we're going to be pulling out of here. There's going to be a large contingent that remains to finish up the work that we're doing. So with that, I will pass it back to our...
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, everyone, for that information. Just for clarification, I want to let everyone know that we are 65% contained, which is great news, and not 60%. So 65% containment. And with that, Sean, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to you on the East Zone.
All right, thanks for that, Jeff. Welcome everybody here to the information part of this evening's briefing from the East Zone. And first up, as always, I'd like to introduce to you for our Operations Section Chief for California Interagency Incident Management Team 4, Kyle Jacobson.
Good evening. We'll start in Christmas Valley. We still have resources in the area. They're patrolling, but these lines have been secured. They're actually backhauling all the hose in the area and just patrolling the area just in case anything does pop up as we are beginning repopulation in the area. As we move up towards Echo Summit, there's quite a bit of work going on in the Echo Summit area. We're working with all of our cooperating agencies, Liberty Utilities, PG&E, Caltrans, to remove those hazard trees and do everything we can to expedite getting the 50 corridor open. As we move into Lower Echo Lakes, that line continues to hold, no issues. Upper Echo Lakes, we have 200 to 300 feet of mop-up above the structures in Upper Echo, so we're feeling really good about that line, and we are continuing to increase the depth of mop-up that we have moving into Desolation Wilderness, where the line is tied into a large granite outcropping here. Also have a wildfire module just out here cutting off timber stringers, and they will be continuing that progression to the west as they slowly cut off each finger and tying these into the natural barriers. As we move through Upper Apache in the Myers area, all the way along Power Line, all the way up to High Meadows, everything continues to hold. No issues or concerns in there. As we move into Trimmer Peak, we have focused some additional work in Trimmer Peak. There are a few areas of isolated heat in here. We flew a few crews in there today, and they're working with helicopters to go ahead and mop up those areas. As we come down around Fountain Place and all the way back into the 89 corridor, everything continues to hold, and we're beginning to backhaul hose in the areas where it's safe to do so. As we move into Scout Peak, direct line, as I've mentioned before, is completed all the way into Sales Canyon. We have inserted a few crews into this spot fire. We've got line in on the eastern flank of that spot fire, and the crews are going to begin to tie that back in to the west side. And moving down into the Strawberry Creek area, we were able to get crews around the hottest corner that we still had left in the east zone, and that's holding, and so the resources will be in there mopping up for the next couple of days. We were able to get hose lays installed and all the way around all of this. What you don't see on this map is right out in front there are several spot fires, over a dozen spot fires. So we have crew spot fires, lining those spot fires individually and taking care of those so that nothing flares up in the future. We've got probably another day's worth of work in there. They're making really good progress in that area. As we move into Caples, no issues, no concerns on anything in Caples. What they're in there doing is getting really good depth, 500 feet plus around any infrastructure in that area to make that we don't have any future issues. That's all I've got for you tonight. Have a good evening.
Thanks very much for that there, Kyle, and some great information for everybody. Next up, from El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Simon Brown.
All right, thank you. All right, so I want to touch on what we did earlier today as far as repopulation changes in the basin. Christmas Valley was moved out of an order into a warning, and then we changed a couple warnings into no warning and no order at all. So that's going to be the city limits of South Lake Tahoe. So that extends Pioneer Trail up to about Al Tahoe Boulevard, and then also extends all the way through Highway 50 up to the last street before you go 89 North. And then as we move 89 North out of the city limits, the lake side of Highway 89 up to Emerald Bay is no order, no warning, and then all the way up from Emerald Bay to Tahoma on both sides of 89 is no order and no warning. Again, the forest's still closed, so if there's cabins or there's things out in the forest, that's going to be closed. All the hiking trails and all that stuff's going to be closed as well. But the residences are in that area are going to be no order and no warning. Thanks.
Thanks very much for that there, Sergeant Brown. As always, my name is Sean Collins, and I'm the Public Information Officer for California Interagency Incident Management Team 4. And next up, I'd like to welcome from Southwest Gas, Supervisor District Operations, Jimmy Smith.
Thank you, Sean. Over the last few nights, I was giving out a telephone number, and some of you had some issues with it, and I apologize. And it was a lack of imagination on my part, so I'm just going to own this one. We were giving out the number of 877-860-6020, and that number is correct. The problem is we ran into the weekend, and we didn't change to give you an option to get your service restored for the Caldor Fire, so I apologize. Going into tonight, for a couple more hours here, if you need to call in, hit 9. So it's 877-860-6020, then hit 9. That's the emergency line, but that'll get you to our dispatcher who will get that order out to the field and we'll get your gas turned back on. Starting tomorrow morning, we'll be back to business as usual and we'll be good to go. But for those of you that need to call in tonight, it's 877-860-6020, and that first thing will say, if this is an emergency, hit 9. Just go ahead and hit 9, and that'll get you to a dispatcher. Now, I got a lot to cover. Now that we opened up Christmas Valley, we got a lot of areas now where people are coming back into. So for all of South Lake Tahoe, except Christmas Valley, give us a call at that number so we can come out and turn your gas on. If you turned your gas off as a precaution when you left, in everywhere but Christmas Valley, we were able to maintain service. So if you left your gas on when you left, it should still be on when you get home. If for some reason it's off, or if you turned it off as a precaution, please call us. We will send a technician out to you. We'll get your gas turned back on safely, and we'll make sure your appliances are in good working order. Now, for the Christmas Valley area, I have technicians out there currently. We have about 35 of them. They're roaming the streets, and as people pull into their driveway, we're kind of like stalkers. We're pulling up, finding out if you need your gas on, and we're getting it turned on. Some people are literally 30 seconds after pulling in their driveway, some 5 minutes. We also have our customer 2977 Lake Tahoe Boulevard. I was really going to try not to do this with notes, but here I go. Oh, I got that right. 2977 Highway 50. So right there at the Holiday Market, we have our customer care team there. If you pull in, say hi, introduce yourself, they'll get your name, your address, and they'll make sure a service tech gets out to you shortly. Again, they'll dispatch it right from there, and my money's on. Not only we dispatch someone to you, but 2 or 3 techs will ask you if you need your gas turned on once you get home. Now, for all of you around South Lake Tahoe, feel free to come and visit. We got some of our Southwest Gas swag to give away, so come visit, come introduce yourself. We'll be happy to talk to you. So if you don't want to call the 877 number, we're waiting for you at the Holiday Market. Now, that one safety message I want to throw out there. Today, tomorrow, 100 years from now, if you smell gas or if you suspect a leak, please leave the area you're in, leave the house you're in, call 911 and call Southwest Gas at that number I've mentioned 100 times. Your safety is our top priority, always will be. That's why we're coming out to turn your gas on. That's why we'll show up if there's a leak. Please call us, because that's what we do. We'll come out there, we'll make that area safe, we'll figure out what the problem is, and we'll get it taken care of. So on behalf of all of us at Southwest Gas, it's finally great to say welcome home, everybody. Everybody.
All right, thanks very much, Jimmy. And hopefully everybody was able to take that number that we put up on the screen and remember to press 9. Our last speaker for this evening, once again, our incident commander, Rocky Opliger.
Good evening again. I want to welcome each and every one of you that logged into our virtual community meeting, and thank you for all the great information we've seen where we are with the fire. Again, I want to thank the folks that we're seeing out there. Our folks that are working on the ground, they're seeing all these nice signs. They're seeing folks standing, thanking all the firefighters, but it's really the collaborated efforts of all of our folks. Our law enforcement folks that have been staffing all the various roadblocks, again, securing those areas that have been evacuated to ensure that there's no damage, additional damage, or any potential looting. From our cooperators that are taking down hazardous trees to ensure the highest level of safety when each and every one of you get to go back in. And the great news tonight is that we've seen in some areas we've lifted the entire orders and no evacuation orders at all. And then some of those ones that we're able to even reduce to a warning to continue to allow more of our residents back into this community. So on behalf of California Interagency Incident Management Team 4 in Unified Command with CAL FIRE Team 2, NEMO Team 2, I just want to remind everybody, just a great effort of all the agencies. I want to thank certainly our local fire districts, county, state law enforcement. I see several of our fire chiefs in their relationship to ensure the highest level of safety as we're now getting more and more folks back into their residence. So again, thank you very much on behalf of the federal agency, state, all of our cooperators, landholders, and most importantly, each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thanks very much there, Chief. And that concludes our presentation for this evening regarding information exchange to you all. Next, we're going to go through our questions and answers. So just remember to put an east or a west in your heading. And if you're not sure, leave it blank. We've got a team of folks that are here to answer any of those questions. So with that said, back over to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you everyone from the East Zone. We do have a few questions for you on the East Zone. I'm going to first turn our time over to Chief Bill Monday.
All right, thank you, and thank you for the couple questions I got here. And so the first one is, when will Highway 50 be fully open? And honestly, I do not have a good gauge on that, and I wish I had a good answer for you. And it's so difficult because this area of Highway 50 on both zones coming up, that the fire came across there with such intensities that there's just so many dead trees through there. It's going to take time to get all those trees mitigated to where the road is going to be safe, to where we can get motorists traveling through there safely. So I wish I had a good answer for you, but I cannot give anybody a good time on the Highway 50 corridor. Next question, is the Kirkwood Inn safe? Yes, the Kirkwood Inn is safe. The fire got relatively close to it, but we were able to protect it and all the surrounding infrastructure there around Kirkwood Inn. And then the next question is, when will Highway 88 reopen? And I've said this the last couple of days too. In full transparency, I'm anticipating fire situation dependent hopefully by the middle of this week. So by Wednesday or so, we're hoping that we will have all of the fire suppression taken care of along Highway 88 near Silver Lake right there. There's still some of the hazard trees and stuff that we're going to have to continue to mitigate, but I'm anticipating that little corner down there west of Silver Lake, if things go well the next 2 days, we will be able to color that part in on our map black there. So thank you. Hopefully those answered your questions.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Jeff Marcellet, I'm the Forest Supervisor for the El Dorado National Forest, and there's a couple of questions that have come in the last couple of nights around what we're going to do related specifically to the suppression repair and the plans to help cabin owners and homeowners and everyone else actually get back into their facilities and maybe even start some of the cleanup. Let me pause on answering the question for just long enough to help you see a bigger picture. There is an exemplary partnership here to deliver a public meeting 60 miles apart with 3 different incident command teams, and it takes a lot of behind-the-scenes planning to pull it off like the teams have done here. As we move into suppression repair, as we move into the cleanup phase, as we look at getting you back access to your national forest, there will be no less partnership or stakeholder engagement than we have right now. So I know folks have quickly turned their attention to the repair portion of this. I'm getting questions about, can I go up Mormon Immigrant Trail? Can I go see Wrights Lake? Can I go up and access my permitted allotment? Those things are going to come in time. And I promise you we're working as fast as we can. The specific question I got tonight is, what's the Forest Service's plan to help us with the cleanup efforts of our recreation residents? I think that question came up last night as well. So here's our plan. We're going to collaborate with OES and our state partners and the federal, the FEMA folks. We have a whole team on the National Forest working to untangle the policies and the procedures, and we're going to do everything we can to communicate quickly to you, but we're going to make sure we do that with the right answers in hand. And so I can't tell you exactly what the plan is tonight, but I can tell you this. We have a team who's working on it, and as soon as we can bring you to the table and share with you what we're thinking and get some of that feedback, we're going to do that. I cannot right now tell you what the final plan is, but I will say this. The Rec Residence Program on the National Forest, it's a treasured program. Many of the rec residence owners were the first to actually settle in these areas, and early on in the program, you were the eyes and the ears of the National Forest. So we know that legacy, and we treasure that legacy, and we're going to look really hard as we make all these decisions about what the future is to honor that legacy. So I want to say that to you directly as the Forest Supervisor. It's important for me to communicate that, but I am going to ask you to be a little patient with the plan, because it's coming together, but there's a lot of agencies that have responsibility here. There's a lot of regulations at stake, and we're going to make sure that we do it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Marcellet. We appreciate everyone answering those questions. That is all of the questions that we have for the East Zone, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Jeff. And from the Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit, I'd like to welcome Supervisor Gwen Sanchez.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So a couple of questions here that came in. First, what is the plan for allowing access at Echo Lakes? So again, the region is under a full closure, regional order that includes closure of all National Forest System lands. If and when that order is either canceled or